will this bring some sort of concern or fear to the lawmakers who want to tinker around with the national expenditure program?
I would not advise that you what we go on a reenacted 2025 budget, because the present budget, if you reenact it in 2026, you'll have the same baggage and the same insertions that this budget is famous for. So
Yan ang sinasabi ko sa inyo mga kababayan. Di ba? Gustong-gusto nilang i-reenact itong 2025 kasi puno ng kabalbalan tong budget na to. O para doon sa mga congressman na meron ka mag-anak, kapamilya o kakilala, kaibigan na nangongontrata sa mga proyekto ng pamahalaan, sumasama sa bidding, huwag ho muna kayo masyadong kabahan. Alam nyo naman na bola lang yan. Hindi naman kayo babanatan ni Marcos Jr. Mahal na mahal niya ay ang mga magnanakaw sa pamahalaan. O, di ba? Ika nga nitong si Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong. Sila rin naman dyan. Anak ng tokwa, napaka-ironic ho. Yung mga binabanatan mo, sila namang pumapalakpak sa'yo. Di ba napakalaki kabalbalan? Alam naman ni Marcos Jr., yung mga congressman din, yung mga kurakot sa mga proyekto na yan, nasaan na yung mga flood control sa mga distrito nila? Di ba? Anak ng tokwa, binabanatan mo, tapos pinapalakpakan ka. Ibig sabihin, pinagmumukha kang tanga. Pero bago yan mga kababayan, isang like at isang subscribe. Masaya na ho tayo dyan sa mga gusto sumali sa ating community. Yung join button, nandyan lang ho sa baba. Hindi ho natin napasadaan kahapon itong interview na to nitong si Franklin Drilon dito kay Ma'am Pinka Web. Dahil, siyempre, gabi na, di ba? Ginabi na ho tayo. Napakarami ho kasing ganap kahapon. Ito mga kababayan, sila naman ho yang pasimuno dyan sa mga kalokohan na yan. No, sila naman talaga. Yung mga pasimuno sa kalokohan at pagnanakaw sa pamahalaan, pinapalakpakan yung nagsasabi na papaimbestigahan yung mga project. Ngayon, ang puputukan ay yung mga kontraktor. Ang tanong, sino ba yung mga kontraktor? Pamilya din ng mga congressman. Kahit saan kayo magpuntang distrito. Kayo, alam nyo yan. Hindi ko kilala lahat ng mga congressman nyo. Pero sigurado ako dito sa ph.update. Ika nga, bukas na libro ang buhay ng mga congressman nyo. At alam nyo kung ano mga kabalbalang ginagawa nila sa mga distrito nyo. Ngayon, yung congressman nyo nalantaran ng pagnanakaw sa lugar nyo, pinapalakpakan niya yung presidente na nagsasabi na papaimbestigahan niya yung mga flood control na yan. Di ba? Ironic, di ba? Yung sinasabihan niya na yari kayo sa akin, mga kontraktor, mga flood control project, papaimbestigahan natin dyan. Yan. Yung mga magnanakaw, nasa harap niya lahat, pinapalakpakan siya. Sabi kasi nung mga nanonood sa kanya kahapon, alam namin yan. Alam namin yan kung ano man sinasabi mo, yun ang kabaliktaran ng mangyayari. Sinabi mo walang ICC, may ICC. Sinabi mo ayaw mo impeachment, may impeachment. Investigasyon sa mga flood control, ano na yun, ika nga, code word na yun, na huwag imbestigahan ang flood control. Matuto na ho tayo. Paulit-ulit na ho tayong, ika nga, winawalang hiya ng presidente na to. Ngayon, ang tanong ho ba dito, maniniwala pa kayo? Kasi kung maniwala pa ho kayo, bahala na ho kayo dyan. Pero tayo dito sa PH Update, alam na ho natin, malayo pa lang ang tain ng kalabaw, tain ng baka, alam na natin yan. Hindi ho tayo basta-basta maniniwala. Marami yung dito sa statement netong si Chis Escudero, marami hong natuwa sa mga kababayan natin. Kasi pinag-cheer itong si Chis. Tama yan, Chis. Sundin natin ang Korte Suprema. Pati yung mga ordinaryong meron sa social media, sinasabi nila, paano natin hindi susundin yan? Korte Suprema yan. Di ba? Ngayon, ang kalaban na nitong mga kagaya ng legal luminary, nitong si Son. Ang alam, yan tuloy na nabahiran yung salitang luminary. Di ba? Yung legal luminary. Nabahiran tuloy. Pagka ang gumamit ng salitang luminary, si Soto, takbo na kayo. Dahil sigurado, pambubudol na naman yan. Marami yung natuwa doon sa sinabi ni Soto, natong si Cheese, na wala ng trial, wala ng impeachment. Dahil kailangan natin sundin yan. Kung hindi natin susundin yan, banana republic tayo. lahat na lang ng gusto natin, eh yun ang susundin na lang natin, di ba? Di ba? Wala na eh, wala nang gustong sumunod eh. Ngayon, pagka nagkataon, ayaw talagang sundin yan, magkakagulo ho sa Pilipinas. Di ba? Eh, ano na eh, puro kababuyan na ho nangyayari na to. Kumbaga, kanya-kanya na eh, kanya-kanyang diskarte na eh. Hindi na eh, kung ano na lang ang makakapag-advance sa political, political ambition mo, yun na lang eh, di ba? Pakinggan nun natin itong si Boy Kilay. Boy Kilay, si Boy Kilay na naman yung ano natin. Boy Kilay, banatan mo.
SB, sorry, so no more trial?
Again, we will answer it in a proper forum. Huwag muna sa SOP.
Okay.
Obvious na yung decision ng court.
But susundin niyo yung desisyon ng SC?
Yes, as a lawyer and as an officer of the court, we do not have a choice. That is my position.
Okay.
Naku, abogado yan. Pero hindi yan legal luminary. Abogado lang siya. Ano ba ang kaibahan nung legal luminary ni Soto dito kay Chis Escudero? Etong abogado na to, eh, nasa tamang kaisipan. Yung legal legal luminary ni Soto, eh, baka yung ano niya yun, yung kasama niya sa sa school bukol. Gumraduate sa school bukol. Kumakalat to ngayon to sa mundo ng social media na kung saan merong mga pinapahaging sa ating mga kababayan na di umano, itong 6 na leader na to, eh, meron din daw mga flood control projects. Kung tawagin yung 6 na yan, the Big Six. Oh, sino ba yung Big Six na yan? Martin Romualdez, Zaldico, David J.J. Suarez, Aurelio Dong Gonzales Jr. Ano naman to? Talagang lagi kang kasama sa top 6, brada. Manix Delipe, Edwin Guardiola. Sila ho ba ang Big Six dyan sa House? Di ko alam. Kumbaga, ano to eh, ika nga eh, guessing game. Ito bang 6 na to, hindi man lamang ho kaya kinilabutan nung sinabi ni Marcos Jr. na papaimbestigahan ko kayo. Mahiya naman kayo. Yang mga yan, mahihiya, anak ng tokwa. Mas mauuna pa akong mahihiya sa mga yan. Mga walang yayan eh. Sa kakapal na mukha ng mga individual na yan, kung meron man, kung sila man ang, kung tawagin, Big Six dyan sa House of Representatives, teka, bakit wala dyan si ano? Hindi, bigla po yung mga yan, yung mga congressman. Di totoo yan, Big Six na yan. Dapat nandyan si Luis Tro, nandyan si Benny Abante, si Joel Chua. Si Joel Chua, mas malala. Pati bangketa, pinapatayuan niya ng barangay hall, di ba? Kasama dapat dyan yung mga yan, oh. Marami po sila dyan. Yung mga yan siguro, hindi Big Six yan. Big 200 dapat ang ilagay natin dyan, di ba? Yung mga pumirma sa impeachment ni VP Sara. Dapat kasama dyan. Baka hindi na lang kumasya. Hanggang 6 lang linagay nila. Pero 200 ho, yung ano na yan, yung kung tawagin, the Big 200. Yan yung mga 200 na walang ya sa pamahalaan sa bansang Pilipinas. Ito, rekta na ho tayo sa interview netong si hindi ko natatanggalin siguro dito yung Big Six, di ba? Ano yan eh, ika nga, institution na yung ano niya, mga pangalan niya dyan sa House of Representatives. Presensya pa lang yan, nanginginig na yung yung kaperahan ng sambayan ng Pilipino, di ba? Naku, nandyan na yung kunyari yung pera ng ating nung kaban ng sambayanan, narinig na ang pangalan nitong si Martin Romualdez, nanginginig na yan, kinakabahan. Zaldico, naku, approacher. Nandyan na naman sila. Eto, dito tayo kay former Senate President Franklin Drilon. Ito mga kababayan. Ito, tuloy natin. Game.
Mahiya naman kayo sa mga kabahayan nating naanod o nalubog sa mga pagbaha.
Oh.
Mahiya naman kayo, lalo sa mga anak natin na magmamana sa mga utang na ginawa ninyo ng binulsan.
Ay, teka, ikaw nang utang eh. Anong tayo nang utang niyan eh. Magmamana sa mga utang.
Wala kang pera.
Ano sabi? Pambira ako mga kababayan. Ano sabi nitong mga congressman na tayo? Pinapalakas siya. Magmanakaw pa kami ng mas marami. Walang yaka. Hindi kami maniniwala dyan. Dadamihan pa namin yung nakaw namin. Yay! O kontrata dito, kontrata doon. Mga kapamilya namin, ipapasok namin lahat sa pamahalaan. Uubusin namin yung pera. Yes! Yeah. Hindi yung Big Six, hindi naman natin sila nakita. Nakita nyo ba? Ako generalize ko na lahat ng congressman. Sila pumapalakpak. Yes! Tuloy-tuloy ang pagnanakaw. Alright.
Of course, that was one of the, as you said, and as we saw, the most applauded part. Why do you think it was the most applauded part by members of both houses of Congress?
Well, the television cameras were there. So, but I can assure you, Pinky, that it was not only in the halls of Congress, in the living rooms of people watching it. Ay, salamat at napansin din.
Seriously, yes, that's what happened. I guess what I'm trying to say, Senator, is that pag sinabi po ng Pangulo, wag na tayong maglokohan, alam naman nating meron ditong for the boys, etc. And then he mentioned that I want an audit. I want the DPWH to look into this, send me a report, at kakasuhan. And then he said, kakasuhan kahit mga contractor. Doon po siya napunta. Yung posibleng kasuhan ay contractor. Let's just be frank here. Will this include lawmakers? Should this include
Well,
lawmakers?
he said contractors. If there are lawmakers who are contractors, then they are included in that general classification. And you see, and I'm glad the President mentioned it, but the biggest issue are the insertions in the budget, which affects our infrastructure program, our flood control program. They're affected by the insertions. You heard the President say, he said the General Appropriations Act must conform to the National Expenditure Program. What does this mean? Those insertions in the budget which do not conform with the economic plan of the economic managers will be vetoed. We wait for it and see whether they really do it. Because
in fact, he went as far as saying that I will even just go for a reenacted budget.
that's correct.
Yeah.
But what he's saying, in effect, I will veto everything and work with.
Di tiba-tiba siya, di ba? Ganyan tayo lokohan di ba? Bibito niya lahat falsifikado itong 2025 budget. Ito na naman gagamitin na. Daming insertion dito. Wala kang nag-insertion sila. Sige, sadyain na nila mag-insertion sila. Paano kung mas malaki ang insertion dito sa budget natin ng 2025? Di talo pa rin tayo. Paano pag binate nila itong 2026 budget? Anak ng tokwa, sir. Hindi na tayo pwedeng mag-insert ng malaki. O sige, insert na lang kayo ng konti tapos ibito ko lahat. Doon tayo sa 2025. Mas malaki mananakaw natin. Kalukuhan di ba? Hindi pa nga nare-resolve yung GAA na yan. Dapat yan na isunod na i-declare ang unconstitutional ng ng Korte Suprema ano na yun? 2-0 na yung Korte Suprema noon. Nabanata na niya House of Representatives. 3-0. Balik sa House. Tapos Malacanang kasi in-implement nila kahit alam nilang falsifikado.
With the reenacted budget. The economic managers will frown at that. You are never, they're never comfortable correctly with the reenacted budget. But the President has the power of a line item veto. In this budget today, in this National Appropriations Act in 2025, the President has lost control of the economic program crafted by his economic managers. Pinky, our economic program, you'll find in the National Expenditure Program. So when you mangle the National Expenditure Program, the economic plan is all shut. Now, the President realizes that. So he said, the General Appropriations Act must conform to the National Expenditure Program.
Yeah.
And he went further. He said he's willing to work to
work
live,
with the reenacted
to live
budget.
within the reenacted
Right.
budget. Just two matters. Number one, when the National Expenditure Program is crafted, the congressmen and the senators already include
Yeah.
their budget.
Siguro, Senator, so it's very clear to those who are not in politics, who's not been a lawmaker, who could be possibly new to this, just share with us how this actually happens. Well, let's go basic. The budget really comes from government. Ibig sabihin,
Yes,
the
let me
SWD, the DOH,
Okay.
etc. However, sir, please correct me if I'm wrong. People like you, when you were a senator or a congressman, whoever congressman, asks the DOH to include
The DPWH, you mean?
the DPWH, for example, to include my area, pagawa naman to ng kalsada, pagawa naman po ito ng bridge. Ganun ho yun, di ba?
That's correct, but let me tweak it a little bit.
Okay.
You know, the economic managers, they have a national expenditure program. They will say 1 million of our funds should be used to build this coffee cup, all right? Because this will contribute to our progress. 20% of our national expenditure program would contribute to the growth of the economy. Public spending, 20% would come from public spending. But those public spending must be spent to useful projects. So now I repeat, you allocate 1 million for this cup. Pagdating sa Kongreso, sasabihin ng Kongreso, hindi maganda yan, kailangan mo gumawa ng plato. So your program, your economic program is all shut because the interference of the legislature, on the theory that you did not consider my needs. Correct also, but it is...
Can you give me a practical example?
okay.
Not something that really happens.
Okay, something that really happens. The economic managers will say, we have to build a bridge across this river because this will facilitate the flow of goods between
Point A to point B.
Point
Okay.
A and point B, from the market to the farm. Now, so it really is necessary in order to improve the lives of the farmers there. When the congressman looks at it, or when the senator looks at it, they would say, you know, my contractor says we can make better money if we make it a road, a farm-to-market road. So instead of having a bridge, you would have a farm-to-market road to nowhere. So the economic activity and the economic benefit which would have resulted in putting up the bridge is lost. That is when, that seem to put it very simply, is the effect of the interference simply based on greed or...
But why would, Senator, let's say galing po yun sa DPWH, kailangan ko gumawa ng bridge dito, point A to point B. From my understanding,
Yes,
and then you're
yes.
saying, pero sabi ni Congressman/Senator Cruz, yun na lang palagi Cruz, na hindi tayo dapat...
Hindi ba pwedeng o hindi ba pwedeng example lang naman. Hindi ba pwedeng ano ba magandang kapilido? Yung hindi ba pwedeng na lang, sabihin natin, di ba pwedeng congressman na lang? Zwars, ganon? O Congressman Aurelio, ganon? Di pwedeng ganon? O di naman kuya, hindi ba pwede sabihin na Congressman Marx? Sabi ni Congressman Marx, hirap no?
Dapat bridge dyan, dapat kalye tayo. Ganun
Yes,
ba? Kalye
yes,
tayo.
yes.
Bakit ho? Kasi mas mahal ang...
ang contractor niya pwede sa farm-to-market road, hindi pwede sa...
So here's my question, Senator. Bakit naman, why would the DPWH agree to that, acquiesce or say yes to that? Why can't the DPWH say, no, let's do a farm-to-market road, pinag-aralan namin yan?
Well, because in the bicameral conference committee, you will never know that the project disappears until the General Appropriations Act is presented. That is where I come to a second point. There must be a way by which we can make public the deliberations in the bicameral conference committee report insofar as the budget is concerned. Because, when negotiations are done on a basis that the public is not informed, is kept in the dark, you'll never know what will happen there.
We don't.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. How to make it public? Because, you are talking about the budget being finished by both houses on the 15th of December, and the budget is supposed to be signed by the President by the end of the month of December. So you have a 1 foot thick document to examine. There's simply no way by which you can give it a rational examination. So what happens is that, nakagawa na yung naging habit na yung small committee, so-called, the committee between the two chairs of the Appropriation and the Finance Committee of the Senate, and their staff would work on the budget and then present it to the bicameral conference for ratification. In that process, then you can imagine what happens. It is a challenge, I must admit. There are no quick solutions. The solution that is being proposed by the President is one very obvious. I will veto any item that comes out of the General Appropriations Act which is not
Part
in the
of the
National
NEP.
Expenditure Program. That's a sweeping statement. Let's see what happens.
But that still allows lawmakers to talk to agencies and say, I need this for my particular area of
During budget deliberation, pagka papupuntahin ng ahensya, secretary ka nga dito, sandali lang. Secretary, di ka dito. Bunuan na liga dito. Dito tayo sulat. Alam mo ba yung meron akong lupa nasa gitna ng sa gitna ng kawalan. Pagawa natin ng daan, please. Yung lupa ko, puro farm yun Donate ko na yung gitna, pagawa ka ng national road doon. Yung barangay road, yung national road, idaan mo doon sa lupa ko. Gawin natin yun. Wala nang problema. Ako nang bahala. Budget nyo, ako nang bahala. Kayo nang bahala dyan. Anong gusto nyo mag-port the boys kayo dyan? Ako nang bahala dyan. Basta yung daan, gawin yung 4 lane. Gawin yung parang expressway. Sa gitna ng palayan, sa gitna ng bukid para, di ba, yung value ng lupa ko tumaas. Di ba, pakawalang strategy. Lahat ng mga congressman ginagawa yun. Shout out doon sa mga congressman yun na yung utak nila ay talagang napakalalaki ng brain cell. Okay, meron akong nabiling lupa. Napakalaking lupa. Kaso walang daan. DPWH, come here. Okay na. Gawin nyo na ng daan niya.
concern.
Before the budget is crafted.
Yes,
Strategy,
before the
Ang
NEP is
bababoy.
even completed.
That's correct.
Tama ho.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so as Senator Drilon can say, DPWH, kailangan ko ng ganito sa Iloilo, ganyan. Habang ginagawa ang NEP, nakikipag-usap po ang mga congressman at senador sa mga sekretaryo, sa Pangulo, para maisama ang
Project niya.
project niya doon. Okay.
Well, yes, that happens, but you cannot be perfect in this world. The thing is, the opportunity for an abuse in that kind of a system is more limited than a situation where pagdating sa BICAM, bahala kami sa buhay namin, we'll insert all kinds of things.
Because that's where I wanted to go. So that report by Politico.com, where allegedly there was an insertion of 142 billion pesos by, again, allegedly Senate President Chis Escudero. How does that actually happen? Kasi ang alam lang po natin, supposed to be, paano ho ini-insert yun?
Well,
ano ho ang usapan sa
First,
loob?
I do not know that for a fact, that
Yes.
in fact there is an assertion of 104. I do not know it for a fact. So I'll answer your question on a theoretical basis. What happened was that in the bicameral conference committee, in the discussion, this was the, may hatian dyan oh, sige, ito yung amin, ito yung sa inyo.
Ano yung hatian? Anong
Ibig
hinahati
sabihin,
doon?
I'm sorry. Ibig sabihin, this is the budget allocated for projects of the senators and the congressmen. Mayroon, so a certain portion, and again, Pinky, if you assume good faith, if you assume honesty, integrity, sometimes it's really necessary. Okay. Ako, I'll be open. I built roads, I built the Esplanade, I built the convention centers in Iloilo. This all came from my pork barrel. But I'm open about it. Oh, here's my pork barrel. So people know what you did. So it's a question of, talagang it's that easy. As I repeat, Pinky, I do not know the 142 billion for a fact that has been inserted. But you asked me how it could be done. It could be done in the BICAM.
Okay, fair enough. Because in interviews a while ago, even Senator Loren Legarda and Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Amy Marcos said to the effect, sir, that, yeah, I know about that. That's why I did not sign the budget. That was Senator Amy Marcos. Senator Loren Legarda, however, was saying that even before the NEP, sabi po niya, dapat pag-usapan natin itong alleged insertion. So, Senator, after all that hearings in the House with the cabinet secretaries, after all that hearings in the Senate with the cabinet secretaries, pagdating po ng BICAM, ganun na lang po, magkaka-magic, everything is thrown to the wind, ganun lang ho ba yun?
Yes.
Anything can change?
Yes. So, there are two kinds of insertions. The insertions done before the National Expenditure Program is crafted, and the second insertion is in the General Appropriations Bill.
GAB, yeah.
So, dalawang insertions yan. So, tanong mo, ganun na lang ba yun? Well, there are certain limitations, but it can be ways of going around it. For example, the economic managers and our lenders would require that our deficit on the basis of the budget should not exceed a certain percentage of our revenue. In other words, there are such standards. Yeah. Say, the borrowing should not exceed 60% of the gross domestic product. There's that rule now. So when you insert so much in the budget, which projects are not covered by a specific revenue program, then you borrow money. And when you borrow money, the deficit goes up. Yeah. So those are limitations. But there are ways of going around it. Example, in this particular budget, and this is an open book, the items which were included there, which are sourced from revenues, were removed and placed in the unfunded portion of the program. So there was a lot of leeway on the. So the deficit was not breached because the projects that were supposed to be funded were moved to the unfunded portion of the budget. So you see,
pending revenue collection.
Sorry?
Pending revenue collection.
Pending revenue collection, which we know that we're working on a deficit, so it will never come.
Yeah. Is it fair or right to say there is still pork? I mean, from, how did we used to call it, Senator? Countrywide Development Fund, pork barrel, DAP.
Yes, lahat yan.
Lahat. Pero lahat po siya pork. Plain and simple.
Lahat po siya pork. That's correct, yes.
Hanggang ngayon po, may pork.
Yes.
Okay, may pork pa.
Yes.
All right.
My pork barrel,
So
it's
let's
called
just
in any other insertions.
yeah, let's not just say walang pork, because was it better, di ba before?
Okay, let me tell you why was it pork before? Cold pork. Okay, it was cold pork because in the budget there's a lump sum appropriation.
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. 200, was it?
Whatever, I don't recall anymore. There was a lump sum of, let's say 100 billion, whatever. Okay, that is there. And then in the course of the year, the legislators would say, I have a project, fund it out of the lump sum fund. Okay, so it's funded out of that. The Supreme Court said, no, that is void because there is no deliberation as to the necessity of that project, and you pass on the authority to the legislator and to the DPWH or to the other agency. So the court rendered that void. So what happened afterwards? instead of a lump sum of 200 million or whatever, now you'll find 200 items, 1 million each.
Hindi ganun din.
and
Kasi
there-
naka-line item na.
It's a line item. So, it complies with the Supreme Court
Yeah.
decision.
Right.
But to expand the pie, we resorted, I was no longer there, they resorted to transferring the funded projects to the unfunded portion of the budget so that it does not breach the deficit, which is the standard for for the budget.
Would televising the BICAM, because sabi mo nga, ang kapal ng papel na yun, and I will not even pretend that I would understand everything
Yes.
there, but televising it to any
Will not work.
member.
Televising it, okay. What you watch out for is when the budget came from Malacanang, the item for this bug is 1 million. After it goes through Congress, it becomes 10 million.
Yeah.
That is what you can easily catch. But when this 1 million already includes the commission, etc., you can never catch it. So,
Of course, of course.
yeah, so
But at least you're going
Grabe no, ang bababoy nila dyan sa House of Representatives. Nakakadiri sila. Anak ng toko, ganyan na ganyan ho, ginagawa nila sa mga proyekto ng pamahalaan, kung paano isinalarawan itong si Drilon, yung kanilang kalakaran dyan. Yan na yan. Yan ang mga dapat nating bantayan. Tama si Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Walang kwenta kahit i-televise pa natin yung bike. Walang kwenta. Baka bago pa tayo mag-bike tapos na ang pagnanakaw nila. Ipapakita nila, mahilig sila sa sarswela eh. Okay, magsasarswela tayo ngayon, bike nanonood sa sambayanan. Ayusin nyo. Okay. Lights, camera, nakaw. Ganun ang gagawin nila. Walang insertion, walang kung ano-ano kasi doon pa lang sa committee level, tapos na ang nakawan. O baka doon pa lang sa Malacanang, tapos na usapan. Yung paghahatid pa lang na ang libro, yung budget na isusumite ng executive dyan sa legislative, tapos na usapan, ika nga. Yung mga congressman, nag-courtesy call kay Marcos Jr. Doon na nila ilinagay kung ano man ang mga gusto nila. Mga magnanakaw yan eh. Di ba nga yung, itong mga Marcos na to, sinuoli na ba nila yung property dyan sa Paway, Ilocos Norte? Sinuoli na ba nila? May ruling din doon yung Korte Suprema na kailangan nila isuoli yun. Di daw sa kanila yon. Kinamkam daw kasama sa ill-gotten wealth nila yon. Nakaw na yaman.
to catch the
Fine,
difference
but,
from 1 million to 10 million.
that's
We have to
correct. So
start
there-
somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And making it public, making the debates public is one way. I'm not saying it's not be all and end all.
Yeah.
But certainly it will be a big start to open it up to public debate, to have the private sector participate in the crafting of the budget.
Especially those who are experts on that. All right, we just need to take a very short break. We'll
Ayun na nga mga kababayan, magbe-break ho muna sila. Tayo naman magpa-pass forward. Teka lang ho mga kababayan. Tapusin na ho natin itong kay Senator Drilon na to.
Other point that the president made was when he said that he will return any proposed general appropriations bill that is not fully aligned with the National Expenditure Program or NEP. Senator, do you think that when the president says that and says, I don't even mind if I have to work with a reenacted budget, will this bring some sort of concern or fear to the lawmakers who want to tinker around with the National Expenditure Program?
I would not advise that you we go on a reenacted 2025 budget, because the present budget, if you reenact it in 2026, you'd have the same baggage and the same insertions that this budget is famous for. So
Yan ang sinasabi ko sa inyo mga kababayan. Di ba? Gustong-gusto nilang i-reenact itong 2025 kasi puno ng kabalbalan tong budget na to. Buisit kayo. Gigil kayo.
So I would recommend that those items which are not in the National Expenditure Program, which were inserted, the President said, I will veto in effect.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Veto it.
I guess ang tanong ko, Senator, do you think matatakot na yung mga...
Solid yung ano na yun. Solid ito si Senator Franklin Drilon, ibang klase. Solid yung banan niya na yun. Dapat sa lahat na magsasabi na irere-enak. Puro kabalbalan tong budget na to. Anong irere-enak? Kaya nga tayo umabot dito sa punto na kini-question ang budget dahil dito sa 2025 budget na to tapos ito ang irere-enak. Anong klaseng kabalbalan yan? Ang toko.
legislators na nag-i-insert?
I don't know. I cannot answer that question.
But at least it's a warning.
Let me correct you. The insertion itself is not illegal. It could be immoral, but it's not illegal. Why? Because crafting the budget is basically the function of Congress,
Right.
and Congress is composed of legislators. So when you assert you include 100 million because I need this
Yeah.
bridge, there's nothing wrong with that. It is when you execute the 100 million and get all the commissions that the illegality takes place.
Here's the thing. Let's talk about what the president said about he wants an analysis, he wants documents of flood control projects that were done the past 3 years.
Yes.
I saw an interview earlier, just very quickly, that Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin was even saying that this can even go before or even way before the 3 years that the president has spent as president. Meaning, pwede rin pong tingnan yung mga 2020, before 2022, 2021, I guess during the time of President Duterte. How feasible is it really to look into these documents, even in the last 3 years? Let's just say that. And look at what was done. Meron ba talagang, yung Ghost Project, madali po yun makita. Pero yung to actually analyze amount and vis-a-vis quality, dimension, specifications.
It's given the magnitudes and the diversity, extremely difficult to do it because there is simply, for example, dredging, which is part of the flood control program. I tell you, Pinky, who will count the number of cubic meters of dredged waste has been made?
It's impossible.
Impossible. So that is answer your question. To a certain extent, you may be able to do it, but it is very difficult. It's very cumbersome. And I'm citing as the example the flood control program, dredging. In my case, when I needed to dredge, I asked DPWH, you buy a dredging machine, so it is there for the next several years, doing nothing except to dredge. Yeah. So, in fact, that was adopted by DPWH. So there are ways. It's not easy, but you have to start somewhere. I agree with the president, and I hope the president will have the the wherewithal to veto. He will be under a lot of political pressure, mind you. But he should be able to deliver on his promise, which was the most applauded portion of his speech.
What are you hoping for, I guess, in the next year? This year till the next SONA, what do you want to see happen within this next year?
Within this next year, to start with, by January of next year, I want to see the items vetoed. That's the start. That's the start. So that you do not have to audit the execution. You prevent the item. Another example: confidential and intelligence funds. When the moment you have an appropriation classified as confidential, intelligence, there is no more audit. It's impossible. We have the closed envelope system. So what is the remedy to me? The remedy is allow confidential and intelligence funds only for those agencies which gather intelligence.
Yung.
That's as simple as that. Why
Limited to them.
Yeah?
Just limit it to them.
Limited to those who are in charge
Yes.
of intelligence gathering,
right.
intelligence service.
That's been a call too. That's been a call of some people. Iwan na lang dun sa mga talagang kumakalap ng intelligence.
Correct. And that way, you minimize the corruption.
Okay, so that would be what? Of course, would you still include the office of the president?
Yes, the office of the president,
What
yes.
about the office of the vice president? No more.
No more.
But di ba pati mga LGU may mga confidential and intelligence funds,
Well,
Senator?
because of fiscal autonomy, they have the power to appropriate the budget, but you can pass a law which says there shall be no confidential
Confidential or
and intelligence
intelligence
funds in the local government budget.
That's part of the DILG code.
Yes,
I see.
yes.
So because they're given autonomy,
Yes.
they can put an amount to their
Yes,
confidential.
yes.
So dapat i-limit dun sa at least agencies that actually really gather sensitive
Yes.
information.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
And then, aside from that, maybe one more you'd like to see in the next year, aside from line veto.
Line item veto, exercise it forcefully. Do not allow what happened to this budget this year when it was mangled and you could no longer recognize. If you're the president, the cabinet, the secretaries could no longer recognize what happened to my requested appropriation, which was approved by the cabinet.
Yeah.
No longer there.
All right. Thank you so much for your
Ayun na nga mga kababayan, dito na natatapusin ang ating reaction video. Napakatabaho talaga ng utak nitong si former Senate President Franklin Drilon. Yan, magaling. Yan yung mga ganyan may utak, yung mga abogado, hindi yung nagtatanong sa mga legal luminary na sinto-sinto. Mahalin natin ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po mga kababayan.